When to sell Cardano ADA for max profit. So, guys, Cardano is a coin which I've been in for quite some time now, originally back in 2021. At this point, when my friend texted me telling me that I should buy Cardano because of how it's the co-founder of Ethereum and how they've got all these projects in Africa and how they're doing this with an academic approach. And he was right, made money on paper, but ended up holding the bag all the way down, which was not great to see your money essentially evaporate. But what I did do, guys, is I managed to DCA in all the way, bringing my cost average down, and now we're seeing the likes of ADA pump up a little bit, so that's really positive to see. But the important thing is that I have been in Cardano for a while, and I do think that it is a coin that has a good potential to perform well, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there also believe this as well. But before we jump into the call, guys, I've just got to make a quick disclaimer. Please read this with care. This video is not financial advice. Crypto is volatile and highly risky. No results are guaranteed. This content is for experienced users only, and there's a full legal disclaimer in the description below. So let's jump into it. So I just want to make this quite clear to you that actually winning in crypto is very, very difficult to do. And according to Binance, around 99% of investors in crypto end up losing their money. And I've got a couple examples here, which this guy here, Nick, he's lost literally everything in crypto and now he's at zero. Another guy, I've hit rock bottom in crypto. I've literally lost everything. My total losses are over 1 million and I've never lost so much money in my life, right? This is the unfortunate reality for a lot of crypto people out there. And again, if it isn't you, some of you might think that it is quite funny. I mean, reading it, it can be a little bit funny, but when you look at it and you understand if that was you, this is no joke and we are not here to mess around. We should do everything that we can in order to play this game correctly and use all the tools that we can at our disposal in order to make this happen. So let's talk about some of the tips in terms of selling and when I think a good strategy involves. So first thing is to set up multiple exchanges, because if you have multiple exchanges in place, it means that you are easily ready to sell and buy crypto at any time you want. If one exchange is down and, for example, you wanted to sell Cardano and the price point that you are willing to sell at, and you can't sell it because they essentially are not your coins because they're on the exchange that has total power of you. So set up multiple exchanges and get cold wallet sorted. The next thing is that whenever you go to send crypto to someone else, make sure that you check the first 3 and last digits of your wallet before sending. It's the quickest way to do this, and just to make sure that you actually get the wallet address right, because if you make a mistake on this, you could end up sending all your money to absolutely no one and losing all your money, and this is absolutely brutal, and so many people have made this mistake, so it's so important you don't do this. Again, another thing that I don't think people are talking about that much is make sure you allow a minimum of 2 weeks, just to be sure, when you unstake any crypto before selling, because again, you don't want to be at the point where you've set all your exchanges up, you've got your cold wallet sorted, you've delegated it, you've got all the staking sorted, price point comes along and oh god, you've got to wait 10 days to unstake, right? Don't want that to happen. Make sure you have this well ahead of time, super important, and not enough people talk about this. Right, so you also need to make sure that you can test selling on multiple different exchanges, because I've personally had an issue when I've gone to sell on an exchange and it goes, nope, doesn't work. And then I'm sitting there like, well, I want to sell it now, but I can't sell it, right? So the important thing is make sure you test at least $1 to make sure that it actually works, because again, you can do all the things right, but the exchange can have some issues and you can't sell it, and then boom, it's not what you want. Next thing as well, so important, is to have your goals written down clearly. And I'm going to show you an example of this in a moment, but I'm going to also mention how we can go about layering out at the same time. So when it comes to it, I recommend having your price predictions written down in a table. Again, your goals are going to be slightly different to me because I might want to make a certain amount of money and you might want to make a different amount of money. But the important thing is, guys, that you have all your numbers written. And when it comes to these numbers here, the $2 all the way up to 6, I'm not saying that this is my personal prediction, my set in stone way of layering out for Cardano. I just wanted to show you an example, but this is the approach that I personally am going to be using, because I believe that is the safest way to maximize your profits and minimize as much risk as possible as we go forward into the bull run. Have whatever numbers you believe that Cardano can hit, lay it out in that, working towards your goal, the total profit, how much you can have left. Again, that should say ADA, but the important thing is you find yourself a way to be accountable, and you can do this by essentially sharing your plan with one of your friends, someone that you trust, and tell them that if you don't sell ADA, for example, at $2, then you owe them $150, or you got to buy their grocery for a week, right? whatever it is, it's got to sting, it's got to be painful enough that it's going to end up forcing you to actually go ahead and sell. It's so important. You need to find a way to hold yourself accountable, and this is a way which I personally want to go about doing this. But again, really, really good way to go about it. And the next thing I want to show you guys was the increasing trend of the M2 money supply. And you might be like, well, what is M2 money supply? When M2 money supply increases, aka money printing or liquidity expansion, it is bullish for crypto in theory because of a number of reasons. And the first one is the fact that there will be more dollars in circulation, which will essentially mean that people will seek out assets that hold better value than cash, which in this case is crypto, gold, and equities. And historically, again, I'm not saying that this is going to repeat, but Bitcoin has been seen as a hedge against inflation and currency debasement. There's such a big narrative about that. You see that online pretty much wherever you go in this crypto space, especially on Twitter. An example here is back in 2020, 2021, a massive M2 growth during COVID stimulus coincided with a major crypto bull run, which definitely helped in terms of price action because there's more money in the market, along with the quantitative easing coming into place. The rate cuts, all these things have essentially helped to trigger the massive run that we did indeed see back in 2021, 2022. And again, we've also seen the likes of rate cuts coming into place at the moment. We've had one very, very recently, which hasn't done too much yet. But the important thing is that we have ones in the future coming up being more and more likely. And again, like I mentioned, if we have rate cuts, people are able to borrow more money, and essentially more money is able to flow into crypto. And this is good because we need to understand that ultimately that this cycle is operating differently to previous cycles, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But we can only go based off all the previous data in this sense. So rate cuts is ideal for creating an environment which is positive for price action. So when we put all of this together, we understand that the macroeconomic environment, we understand how Cardano works in terms of its market cap, all the developments, you have the price points written down, you're layering out in the 20% method, and you have that working towards your goals that are realistic. For me, that's when I believe it's time to sell Cardano for max profit. So hopefully guys, this provided you with some value. Thank you for watching.